You can't keep a good vampire down. Radu is back, and this time he's looking for a bride. Bloodlust Subspecies 3 finishes off the two-part story that started with the previous sequel. And Tim made me watch this, so I guess we'll see how it ends. Welcome everyone to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter, and joining me with his new mustache is Tim.
Thank you for having me once again.
I'm glad you've not forgotten to do the impression at the start of these yet. You better keep that up for 4 and 5.
Yeah, well, you know, I got to get ready for my one-man show. Radu comes to Hollywood. So if anyone wants to check that out.
Radu grew a mustache and came to Hollywood, and here he is. Also,
I'm a star, baby.
sounds all like Borat, just that Borat's a vampire.
Yeah, there's potential there. Yeah,
in many ways. Yeah, and I realised that the order that these come out is not necessarily the same as the order that we're recording them in. So just know that this is.
Wait, so you're gonna put out like the review for like this movie and then the second movie, like and then the first movie?
No, the subspecies will be in order. What I'm saying is
just
that
making sure.
I just referenced that you've got a new mustache, and it's occurred to me that this might not be the first video where they see the mustache. They might think, why is he bringing it up now when there was 2 other episodes where he already had a mustache? So I'll just explain that.
Continuity is important.
Oh yeah, because this will probably be a little later in the month, just because I'm not putting Subspecies 2 right after Subspecies 1. What, am I, a madman?
You're afraid of getting too many likes.
Oh yeah, that's what it is. The Subspecies have been bringing them all in.
You know what occurred to me actually is this movie is called Subspecies, right?
Well, technically, this is
the film franchise.
Yes,
you know, yeah. And you know, as podcasters on the internet, what do we want more than anything? We want subs.
Oh, yeah, there you go. And you think that this will somehow result in subs?
I think we'll get a pretty big uptick on the Patreon once these go out.
Should we also endorse Subway and eat subs on the episodes, or?
I think so.
Given this logic.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've told you what my favorite subspecies is before, right?
Yes. I don't remember what it was, but you did mention it.
There's a little bit of turkey, some bacon, and melted cheese on Italian rosemary bread.
Rosemary bread? I believe I'm familiar with that term.
I think they sell that at Quiznos.
Is that the Italian herbs and cheese in the US? Is that what you call it? Or is this a different bread?
So I think Italian herbs and cheese is at Subway, and then I think Quiznos does like Italian rosemary or something like that.
But it's similar.
It's similar, yeah. It's
okay.
Actually the same. That's how similar it is. It is the exact same thing. Every sub shop has, you know, white wheat and then something the Italians made up.
Yeah, I've been going with wheat for the longest time. Be a little healthier.
So healthy. Yeah.
And it's nice. I don't like the Italian bread that's got all the harsh top. I don't like that.
The harsh top.
You know, it's all prickly and stuff, and I don't like it.
It is, yeah. That's the pinhead of sandwiches. It hurts your mouth.
So yeah, there's
such a waste of good bread.
There's a third subspecies movie, believe it or not.
Correct.
And you probably knew that because they made 2 and 3 as a pair, back to back, or even all at one time. And they feel written that way, where some characters who are interested in 2 just disappear before the last part of 2 because they're still going to be in 3. So we can't have the Mel from the US Embassy be in the third act of 2, because then he can't just show up at the start of 3 going, what's going on? So this is
what's going on? Where's Redu?
This is Bloodlust Subspecies 3. We'll start spoiler free as we do. We'll give you a warning if we go into spoilers. Although at this point,
because there's definitely some lust going on in this movie.
I can't imagine anyone's clicking on a review for Subspecies 3 and either gives a shit about spoilers or doesn't already in some way care about the movies and therefore has seen the movie.
I mean, I've told you before, don't underestimate the freaks that that watch this channel. They're certifiable, I tell you.
There's hardly anything to spoil anyway. I mean, much like the first two, barely anything happens for like 90% of the runtime, let's be honest.
I'm pretty sure you could describe the entire plot in 25 seconds.
I mean, I think all three movies are guilty of this thing where there's a bit of setup at the start, which is fine enough, and there's a bit of an ending, which is fine enough. But the middle of all the movies kind of just has them going in some sort of weird circle. In this movie, it's, we're going to go to the castle and look for the vampires and try and stop them. And the detective shows up, and then something just makes us stop and go back to the hotel. Some stuff happens at night. Next day, we're going to go back out to the castle. We're going to search for vampires. And the detective might show up. like that is the middle of this movie. And it takes, you know, and this movie's only 80 minutes. Like, it's just 80 minutes and no more.
Yeah.
It's a short movie, and yet it feels padded to hell. And I think something you said last time about how you could take the first three movies and combine them all, and it might actually make a one solid 90-minute movie if you paced it right.
Absolutely.
And I don't know about all three, but certainly 2 and 3 feel like, one movie stretched out to 2. So despite the fact that they're both 80 minutes, it's really one big 160-minute movie, which is maddening for what this is.
Yes.
So the last movie ended. The character from the first movie, Michelle, couldn't come outside after they defeated Radu and Mummy Radu because of the sunlight, because she's a vampire now, of course. So Rebecca, daughter Shatner, that is, says, I'll wait until dark. And that's where we pick up here at the end of this one. We pick up with the continuation of that. Rebecca does not wait until after dark. She just immediately leaves for some reason. And there's more shenanigans with Radu and Mummy Radu, and we'll get into all of that. But Tim, just put us out of our misery. What did you think of Subspecies 3?
So if you remember for the last one, I was actually riding a little bit of a high with the second one. Like, I thought the second one was relatively fun, and like actually did have, like, again, it's still very much a full moon straight to DVD movie, but at the same time I thought there was some like effects and shots here and there that I was like, oh, actually I kind of like this. I don't mind this. I think it's cool. Unfortunately, I cannot say that the franchise really kept up the momentum with this one. I don't know, this one just felt really redundant, like you were saying before, like these movies all feel like very similar, and I think there's enough differentiation of enough differences, let's just say that it's easier, between the first and second movie, but the second and third movie feel so blended together. It's like it just feels like really unnecessary. And I mean, you get stuff with Radu and you get stuff with Mummy, which I still like seeing them. So as always, they're chewing the scenery and stuff is always going to be the highlight. But I don't know, everything else just felt, I don't know, maybe it's because I watched them like so close together, like maybe these are meant to be watched like one a year or something, but yeah, it just felt really kind of dull and redundant. They both came
out in 1994, and I mean, I've not checked the dates, but like it wouldn't surprise me if they literally just came out at the same time, so they could both be on the shelf.
Sure, yeah,
because they were straight to video, so it's not like they have to worry about spacing them out. It's just like, here's 2 and 3 on the shelf, so maybe they're hoping that someone who saw the first one for some reason will be like, yeah, I'm going to get both of those babies. I need to finish the trilogy.
Also feels like a little, I mean, I guess it was set up enough in the first one, but it does feel like a little strange that like all of a sudden like Radu is like so head over heels like in love. Like, this is the most Twilight-iest of the Subspecies movies, at least so far. Like it is very, like, the subtitle could have been like Radu in Love, basically, which I don't know, feels a little out of character for me, although maybe it's not so much love as it is like lust. Like, he just really wants to have that power and domination over someone. But Yeah, I mean, I guess that stuff was like a little bit interesting, but yeah, this one just didn't really do it as much for me. You know, I mean, again, kind of riding off a little bit of a high on the second one.
Again,
So
this
that is a
high you
bummer.
keep talking about, surely you're talking like 1 inch off the ground, because it's not. It wasn't good by any means.
I had enough fun with it that I was like, all right, I want to see what happens next, and I want more of these characters, especially these whatever CIA or I don't know embassy people that are in it.
There was no CIA in the second movie. There's only CIA in the third movie, and we'll talk about that later. This one had 2 moments in it that made me laugh pretty hysterically.
Okay.
Which is more than the first 2. But I mean, it's not a really bad movie. Like I'm not, like I can say, it's just going round in circles in the middle. Like there's very little motivation for the next things to happen. It feels almost like they're stalling at certain points rather than just driving the plot forward in the way that it's supposed to, because they have to stretch it out to call it a movie. There's just all these problems with it. It doesn't even open with the big special effects moment like the first 2 did. I was waiting for it. But there's nothing. There's no big special effects moment, which is a shame. So that's a thing. I don't. There's very little to say about it. This franchise, this hell that you've put us through, Tim, is it's just devoid. It feels this genuinely feels like we have to put out a certain number of movies a year to sell enough tapes, so we've made a vampire movie. And we've done as little as we possibly could whilst making the vampire movie. Here it is to the world. Let's hope some suckers buy it.
I admire that filmmaking spirit, though. Like, I don't know. I wish I could bring that into some of my, creative efforts.
Oh yes.
I sometimes I think, man, I just put too much damn effort into this show. Like, I really should dial it back.
What effort? You put no effort into this. I see no such evidence. Obviously this type of thing can be fun, right? Filming themselves, put out Puppet Master. The first one's not great, but we enjoyed the second one. I enjoyed the first few Trancers movies, and I think they did Demonic Toys as well, and that was kind of entertaining for what it was. They're all there's a ceiling for them all because they're all these direct-to-video movies, but they can be fun. They can feel like they have some kind of a plot. But I think Subspecies is felt really lackluster in that department, and they're kind of just banking on the location for the most part. And if we use that location a lot, we go back there time and time again. So
now you do bring up a good point, though. Has Full Moon ever done a werewolf movie?
I mean, I don't know, but they've got a big catalog. They've got a surprisingly deep catalog, Tim. It's not impossible they have. Okay,
because it just feels like a wasted opportunity. Like, if your name is Full Moon, like, your signature franchise should be like, Werewolf War Part 2 or something.
Wait, that's the name of the franchise? Is Werewolf War Part 2? How does that work?
That's a good title.
I mean, if it's the franchise is Werewolf War and the second movie's called Part 2, I could understand your argument here, Tim, but calling the franchise that feels a little bit, dare I say, kooky.
I think people will love it. If anyone wants to make up shirts, you have my blessing. Literally, I will bless them.
You don't have my blessing. In fact, if anything, all you have is my judgment.
Better be careful. People sick his lawyers on you like that.
Oh, I don't care about lawyers. I don't have
Connor has to use his legal degree for something.
Connor with a legal degree. It's the funniest thing you've ever said, Tim. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, what is there?
So,
do we just do spoilers? Because I don't know what else to say. It's spoiler free. Like, once you've described the first movie without saying any plot spoilers, like that's it. You've described all 3 of them basically.
Spoilers. Radu talks like this. Hello, my name is Ratu.
I don't think he ever announces his presence like that in the movie, to be fair, though.
What's up, bitches? Ratu is in the house.
Yeah, this parody of Subspecies sounds a lot more fun than Subspecies, I'm not going to lie. So yeah, spoilers if you do care. And I suppose the problem I did have as well is that I just said that once you've described the plot of the first one, you've described the plot of all of them. I don't think that's entirely true, but it's true for 2 and 3 because like it's all the same characters as 2. There's nothing new to talk about. There's no new.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, here's this new character. Well, there's one new character that I do want to talk about, but he comes in quite late on, and that is CIA Bob. Which might be the best, most out of nowhere thing in this movie is that at one point when they're going back to the castle for the second time, which is getting into the big third act, and I say big, not literally, which is figuratively was the word, but I my main blank for a second. Mel, the US Embassy guy, says, I'm going to call my friend. He's cool. I said, no, he's ex-CIA, but don't worry, he's cool. And I'm like, okay, where are you going with this? This guy, Bob, shows up at the castle, right? They all meet at the castle, like, the next day, or maybe that day, and I'm like, did he come from the US after, like, in less than a day? Because that's not really all that plausible, frankly. He got a flight and he's not jet lagged, and he shows up in a beret. Nah, he could have just come in a plane though. He comes with like an arsenal of machine guns, so I don't. There's no way he went on a plane.
Yeah, America, baby.
Aye, but Europe still has to let him in. I don't think they're going to look at all these submachine guns and go, you know what, this guy seems all right. But he's got a beret on. He's got night vision goggles. He's got and he talks like he's like, what's the plan, sir? Yeah. I don't care, this is your party, I'm just doing a cameo. Let's get in there. Like, he is this caricature of like some military dude, and frankly his death might be the best moment in the entire movie. This guy accomplishes nothing. He climbs a wall. That's basically it. He climbs a wall, they get inside, and when he tries to shoot bullets at Mummy Radu, which, you know, for the record, yes, there is one handgun that has silver bullets in it that might work. His machine gun does not, though. So he fires the machine gun at her, and she just uses telekinesis, which she apparently has, to fly a knife across and into his forehead. And he just instantly dies, drops to the ground. He's over after he was built up as being the CIA badass that's going to help them win this fight. And I thought that was quite funny.
It's a good gag, yeah. Like, especially like you said, like just really, it's so over the top the way you're seeing him preparing and like, yeah, having this suitcase just like full of like weapons and stuff, and like, yeah, just the idea that, oh yeah, he is supposed to be the ultimate badass, and like, you know, in your mind you're thinking like, has Radu met his match? But then, yeah, just to be dispatched so easily, yeah, very funny.
I mean, I never thought has Radu met his match. I never once thought that. No.
He might as well just ran to the castle saying Leroy Jenkins. Like,
oh, there's a reference all the young kids will get. So, even the fact that they have to climb in, they make this big deal about how, oh, he's going to climb up the wall, and then he's going to, like, you know, throw down a rope and bring Mel up, and they're going to go in with machine guns. And I'm like, I don't think this movie or any of the franchises ever established that they'd have to climb to get in. Like, why is this the way they have to go in? I know the secret tunnel is like blocked off earlier in the movie. That's the thing that stops them the first time they're exploring the castle. They give up when they get to this like blockade, and they're like, well, I guess that's us for today, and go home. But I was like, isn't there like front entrances? If they said there wasn't, then it's always felt that you could just walk into this place. In fact, didn't they just walk into this place in the last movie? Remember they walked in,
that
and
sounds about right.
Radu was like, what are you doing here? Leave now.
Get out. Come on. It's not your place.
Get to the chopper. Arnold and Radu are converging. It's not healthy. But yeah,
consult your doctor if you're if your Arnold and Radu start to merge into one accent.
Yeah. Anyway, to go back to the start of the movie, so Rebecca just sort of runs off to try and call for help, and ends up bumping back into Mel and the detective when everyone shows up and it's a crime scene afterwards. Because now it's a murder, and I kind of realized that the only meaningful thing that really happened in the second movie, when you look back at it now, is that the archaeologist, like professor dude, got killed, because that's the only thing that has any real consequence in a large sense at the start of this movie. It's like, oh, this is a murder investigation now, so now a detective is looking into it. Although I thought he specialized in black market goods, because he's still going on about it every 2 minutes. He's like, are they stealing artifacts from in there and selling them? Oh, I bet they're in the black market. I bet that violinist is in the black market. He's constantly going on about selling stolen goods.
Yeah.
And Tim, what's the one thing that's not happened in any three of these movies? Not one person has sold something that was stolen.
Yeah, which is a shame, because he probably could get a lot of money off the Bloodstone. People go crazy for those.
Oh, people love the Bloodstones. I mean,
I bet there's like people that are selling $500-$600 Bloodstone replicas on Etsy.
I somehow doubt that, Timothy. I think you'll be lucky if one fan has made a prop Bloodstone in the last 30 years.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we've established that. We can move on. Meanwhile, Radu needs to be resurrected this movie, despite the fact that the last movie has subspecies just like put him back together. So that was a bit weird. Like, why does he need to be resurrected by his mum now? But yeah, the mummy's doing like an incantation. She's like poking his like knife wounds and all sorts, and she's saying
him in the Lazarus pit.
She's saying some stuff. And then when they've got Michelle back, they just do an incantation to teleport back. Because keep in mind that they're at the mum's place near the city, and they teleport back to Radu's palace, which is where the first movie was mainly set. And they just sort of like, a lot of smoke fills the room, there's a flash of light, and then they're there. And I'm like, okay, I guess she knows a teleportation spell, because that's what just happened. Which does also beg the question, like, Radu has like random new powers. Like, he can also teleport now. Like, I know they established the whole shadow traveling last movie, and he does that again here. But he also does this thing where he's like, Michelle, I'm going to show you how to move stealthy. And then he just sort of like, there's like a flash, and he just sort of like teleports like across, and I'm like, wait, if you can do that, why haven't you been doing that in the last two movies constantly to like win fights and chase after people? In fact, at one point in this movie, he kidnaps like a victim for him and Michelle, the first victim he brings to her. He gets her off the street, but he like picks her up while he's in shadow form. Like he's just traveling down the street as a shadow, and the shadow comes down, and then she disappears into the shadow, and I'm like, you could do that. You could just be a shadow monster and like grab people. Why haven't you been doing this? Like, they give him like they keep showing all these new powers, and I'm like, this feels like he should be completely unstoppable.
Yeah. Now, you're a big fan of Dragon Ball Z, right?
I think I've seen a grand total, let me think about it, of 0 seconds, but go on.
Well, you know, like the on that show, there's the group of aliens, the Saiyans, and one of their things is like, whenever they're defeated in combat, like once they heal, they come back more powerful. So like they do a lot of training, and sometimes they'll even like try to push themselves to like almost dying, so that they can use like healing stuff and come back and like be even stronger than before. But I don't know, maybe Radu is like that. Like maybe every time he's defeated, he comes back with a new power.
I mean, maybe this is what the Bloodstone's doing, because they've still never established what I almost swore. They've never established what the Bloodstone's actually giving him in terms of power. They keep saying it's powerful.
Was it the C-bomb you're gonna drop?
No, it was the F-bomb, but don't tempt me, though. Don't tempt me.
Radu is such a... do you wish they had like a scene like in like the first Shazam when that little punk kid is like, oh, like we gotta test all your superpowers, and like they're making.
Wait, are you
Shazam
talking
do all
about
that stuff.
Freddy with the crutch? He's the punk kid you're referring to?
Yeah, the little punk.
The one with the disability. Okay, that's a bold choice, but go on.
But yeah, like they're testing it out. Like, do you wish there was a scene like that where like Mommy was like, "Let's see what you can do," and he's like, "Bring it," and then he's like skateboarding down the castle. And
that was the weird thing. I thought they were about to do that with him showing Michelle all of his powers because he does that teleportation thing, and then she just does it without barely trying. He's like, "You're special, Michelle. You are natural." But then you never see him teach her anything else. So I thought we were going to get, here's all the things you can do now, Michelle, as a vampire, and Radu's going to teach you. But instead, he's like, no. But also later on, when she asked to drink from the Bloodstone, he's like, you are not ready for the Bloodstone. It is too powerful. It will consume your mind. And I'm like, okay, but... Like, okay, so it's not the Bloodstone giving you all these fancy powers then, because she's doing them without the Bloodstone. So...
That reminds me of like when you're younger, if like you had a friend who like had a new video game and he was telling you how cool it was, and you're like, oh, can I have a turn playing it? And like, I don't think you really get it yet. Like, I'm gonna have to keep playing it for you. And like, that's basically like what Radu is doing.
Yeah. So you basically then, Tim, yeah.
I was a good friend. I shared. I still share.
Yeah, shared all sorts of things. Syphilis.
Oh, come on.
Crabs.
I keep my body clean. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So I mean, it was almost over, and I thought, oh god, there's not even like the subspecies aren't even in this one. They're not even showing their face. It's not until the last like 10 seconds that Radu's corpse, some blood falls from it, and some subspecies form. So they're not even a result of the Bloodstone, because at this point at the end he doesn't have the Bloodstone either. The Bloodstone just got thrown away.
Yeah, I guess if you're gonna take anything from this movie, the big, I guess, important stuff is what kind of happens at the end. The Bloodstone gets destroyed, and I mean, I guess it's kind of big that Radu gets killed, but I mean, he's been killed twice before. So
yeah, I mean, this is a daylight kill. He basically jumps out into the sun because Rebecca throws the Bloodstone, and he goes diving for it into the sun, and then falls to his death and lands in a tree, and there's branches going through. So he's impaled with wood. He's on fire from the sun. There is kind of a fun shot of this dummy just sort of sitting there, and. But the ending's like, hey, the subspecies are forming out of his blood, so that means he's probably going to come back.
Yeah. I will give him some credit. I actually do like how, now this is a part that made me laugh, like just kind of how over the top the ending is, because it's like you're saying, it's not just like there's one thing that kills him. It's like, all right, so you're jumping like at the top of this castle, plus it's sunlight out, so you're catching on fire, so you're falling on fire, and then like you land through like spikes. It's like, a hat on a hat on a hat, but that's what kind of makes it like fun and over the top. It's very cheesy looking, but at least that is in the kind of like the cheesy charming kind of way that I like to see. I wish there was more stuff like this throughout the movie.
Yeah, or CIA Bob. I'll take more CIA Bob. That
was fun, yeah.
Yeah. So just look at some.
I wonder if they just like told him like, yeah, we're going vampire hunting, and he was just like, say no more. Like, I'm in.
Well, no, because he doesn't know. Because when he's like, hey, I brought all the stuff you asked for, but I don't really get it. I mean, what are you doing? Hunting vampires?
True, yeah.
And then they look at each other like, well, it just so happens that maybe we are hunting some vampires.
You don't have to tell me anymore. I don't really care. I'm in the CIA, so
if I get to just shoot my machine gun at bad guys, I'm a happy CIA man. That's his attitude. Oh dear. So if we look at some of the different, I mean, there's not much to say about Mel. He just kind of is there. He does end up kissing Michelle at one point, or not Michelle, sorry, Rebecca. Back at the hotel. Honestly, the only memorable moment he has for me is when they go to the office of the professor from the last movie, right? And they go there to talk to the receptionist, and they say they're there for him to pick up some papers that he left in his office, but what they're actually there for is to steal a bunch of weapons from his room, because he's got like axes and stuff on his wall, so they go in and steal all that stuff so they can fight vampires with it. But the bit that made me laugh here is the receptionist is crying her eyes out. She's distraught that her professor, her boss, has been killed. And in a really horrible performance, this actor playing Mel says he was a true scholar and a remarkable human. And it made me laugh. I was like, what do you mean you're a true scholar? You talked to him once. You weren't even with him. The entire last act of the last movie where he goes with Michelle, the scholar that is, the professor, when he goes down to Michelle and then ultimately gets killed, Mel wasn't even there for any of that. He met him once and he's paying him all these compliments. And to make it even just a little bit funnier, the receptionist is like, he was an old fool, and then just keeps crying. But
yeah, he was a real piece of shit.
But he was great in bed.
That's how I want to be remembered.
Oh yeah, I'm sure your wife will be thrilled when someone else says that at your funeral. maybe I don't know, Radu will go up like, Tim will be remembered fondly for being great in bed.
He was such a gentle lover. Radu.
Except when I asked him not to be. I suppose the two things we have to talk about really or the main thing we have to talk about is Michelle's...
The credits.
Oh, I wish for the credits. But the main running plot of this movie, more than anything else, is that Radu is trying to train Michelle to be a vampire, and is trying to get her to give up like all her ties to the mortal world. Stop caring about your sister, start killing people with me. And Michelle's resisting, but she gets hungry, so she does bite people. She does lure someone in. There's a scene where she's like, okay, go and use your vampire powers to lure in a victim. And she basically stands down the street from where this little like party's happening, and there's like a little band of, and it's not like a rock band, but like a violinist, a cellist, and a couple other things. And she just kind of stares, and she's looking all pretty. The cleavage is out, and this violinist is just looking down the street like, oh my, daddy likey. So he like goes down the street, and then she teleports further back away, and he's like, where did she go? And he starts running down the streets looking for her. And eventually Radu pops out and bites him. And then a random woman like gets out of her car and says, hey, what's happening here? And then they have to grab her too. And I'm only mentioning this random woman because despite the fact that the detective dies, we'll talk about him separately because he's probably the other character we have to talk about. And despite the fact that CIA Bob dies, like this random woman who doesn't really even have any proper lines of dialogue survives. Like, they rescue her at the end out of the cage along with Mel, who's kidnapped by that point as well, and she's a survivor of the movie. I'm like, this woman is a red shirt, and she survived. I just thought that was worth mentioning, I thought. But there's a lot of Radu talking to Michelle about, I will spare your sister if you give me your utter devotion for all time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. Oh, but there's also Mummy Radu who hates her and thinks she's out to steal her son from him. So she's just like, Radu, kill her, Radu. She's a bitch.
God, like you can just see like this would have made such a good sitcom in the 90s. Just like the angry mother-in-law, the dumb husband, and a woman who's trying to keep them all together.
That sounds like Arrested Development, and the one woman who's trying to keep them all together. They should get Radu on What We Do in the Shadows. I mean, the actor just played him again, so he's still a game.
They really should, yeah.
Yeah, he could show up and do his voice. He'd fit right in.
Yeah, that'd be really funny. Yeah.
Oh dear. Yeah, so yeah, that's the whole thing really, and it feels like over the course of the movie she is starting to, like, she's kind of suicidal in the middle where she wants to just wait for the son to kill herself, and then she kind of seems to be drifting towards the dark side, but at the end of the movie when they're having their big standoff and Rebecca's holding Radu off with the gun that's filled with the silver bullets, Michelle takes it and you think, oh, she's going to kill her sister or do something evil, and she turns around and shoots Radu. She's resisted the darkness. She's still good. So that's great. They never actually explain how they drive off with her at the end, despite the fact that it's broad daylight now.
Yeah,
I guess they just wrap her in jackets and stuff.
Again, that's been a constant problem with this series, where it seems like people are just always walking around like when it's just like middle of the afternoon.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, it was absolutely at its worst in the first movie. 2 and 3 haven't been as guilty of it, but it's still there. It still rears its ugly head often enough.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So I guess the other big thing is that Mommy dies in this. So.
Oh, if not just that she dies, Radu kills her because he wants his new big-titted bride instead of his mummy around.
I'm pretty sure that's how he referred to her as well. Big titties.
So he actually rips off his mum's arm and then rips off her head. So it's the ultimate, matricide betrayal.
Oh, that's the ultimate betrayal. Like,
I mean, you can kill your mum, but I mean, ripping her head off's kind of going the extra mile. No?
Sure. Depends on, I guess. For some people, yeah, sure.
Well, what's a bigger matricide to you? What's a more extreme version of matricide?
Tying up in a chair, making them watch the show.
Oh, I hope Mummy Virgulish is careful.
Yeah.
Better hope Tim never snaps.
Yeah. I don't want to have to have that conversation on Thanksgiving where your mom's like, so who's this Radu person you keep talking about? Like, oh, Mom, don't pay attention to the show. Just like and subscribe, but you don't have to actually watch it.
I heard you, Timmy, talking on your show about killing me. Explain yourself, young man.
I don't like that Pete boy. He talks about titties too much.
Whoa. I did not bring up titties that often. That is nonsense. I only bring up titties when the movie's forcing them in my face. Okay. To be fair, there was no nudity in this one. Like they sort of went out of their way to do a lot of nudity last time. This one was actually pretty tame in that respect.
Another reason why I'm going to be a little harsh in my final thoughts.
Yeah, because there was no big special effects moment like the first two movies at the start. There was no nudity like the last movie. Really, this movie is just lacking so many things.
I wish they would have combined the nudity and the big special effects scene into one scene.
Oh, you should watch the boys spin-off Gen V, Tim. I think you'll find what you're looking for.
Oh, really? Okay. Is that out yet? I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, episode 4 just came out. But not only will you find what you're looking for, you'll find it multiple times over the course of the 4 episodes so far.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Interesting.
Yes. My running theme on the reviews is that there's a very extreme high quantity of dick-related things happening in that show. So, yeah, it's a good show so far, though. Promising. If you like the boys,
I like the boys, so
I would check it out.
So much to watch, so little time.
Yes, which is why I'm extra pissed that you're making me watch Subspecies.
Hey, the one that if the fans wouldn't have demanded it, we wouldn't have to do it.
Who demanded it? Show me the receipts. Show me one person saying, "Could you please do Subspecies?"
There's, some of the patrons are they're a little afraid to approach you. So sometimes I get requests via my personal email.
Is that right? Yeah, so you can still screenshot that and show me it. You cowards.
Yeah, if I knew how to screenshot, I don't have that kind of equipment.
It's a button on your keyboard, you nincompoop. Oh dear. The detective is back in this one. I mentioned him earlier. He keeps thinking that everyone's trying to grave rob and sell stuff in the black market.
We should say it's not Detective Pikachu.
He brings it up like constantly for like the first half of the movie, and he never really believes there's vampires, but both times he runs into them at the castle, he just kind of like shrugs and goes, why not? Give me a gun or a stake and I'll help look for the vampires. Even though he never actually says he believes anything, he unfortunately meets his demise when Radu shows up behind him towards the end of the movie, and his big long fingers like come over his head, and then he stabs him. I was wondering why he didn't bite him, because I thought, oh, maybe he's like stabbing him so he gets like a sort of blood fountain effect and he's going to drink the blood that way, but you never see him drink the blood. I thought, that's a waste, Radu.
Yeah.
Is it because he's not as attractive as most of your victims? He's a middle-aged man, and you're like, I don't want this guy.
Yeah. I mean, the blood's blood, you know?
That's what I would think, but Radu seems to be fussy. I don't know.
Oh.
He likes the blood of a maiden. No?
I mean, I guess people probably have their preferences.
People. You mean vampires, then? Come on.
Yeah. Whatever. Similar species.
Similar. Oh dear. But he spends some time following the main couple because he wants to see what they're up to. He makes these two men dig the grave. I think it's the grave from the first movie where they buried someone. But he just sits there and eats a sandwich while these two other cops are digging it. And I'm like, oh yeah, delegating that task, are we there, detective? Very good. I don't really have much to say about him. He's more entertaining than like say Mel, because at least he's got some weird running things that he says that kind of stick out. Mel does nothing of value. The romance with him and with Rebecca, I keep saying Michelle by accident, with him and Rebecca it's not out of nowhere. You can tell they're going to do it as soon as he was introduced in the last movie, but it also feels unearned and just like, oh, now they're just kissing. Because this puts you in the mood when your sister's been turned into a vampire and you're worried that she's been held captive against her will.
I mean, the name of the movie is Bloodlust. I mean,
aye, but that's Radu's bloodlust for Michelle, not Rebecca and Mel. They don't have
they
blood.
A little bit of bloodlust.
No,
well.
this man's never had an erection. I refuse to believe it. There's no blood flowing anywhere in that man. He is about as plain white toast as you could possibly have.
Okay. We'll see. Maybe we'll reach out to the actor and try to confirm this.
I'm not saying the actor's never had an erection. I'm saying this character's never had an erection. There's a difference.
Well, maybe he really got into the character and now he can't really see the difference between himself and...
I mean, imagine getting erectile dysfunction for Subspecies 2 and 3. It's not like he was in Taxi Driver or The Godfather or some, notable classic that at least he's like, you know what, that's worth the legacy. I'll accept that my happy little man is not going to stand at all anymore. I don't know why I said that with a little Italian flex. There's a stand at all.
Oh, well. They got the Leaning Tower of Pizza, which is very phallic.
Someone should build the Flaccid Tower of Pisa right next to it.
Yeah.
Just for the comparison. Yes. Very good. I don't know. I don't know what to say about Mel. He's just a dull ass character. He was dull ass in the last movie. He's dull ass in this one. He's got a CIA friend named Bob. That's slightly amusing.
Yeah,
but that's about it.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I watched this like probably 3 or 4 days ago, and a lot of this stuff is like already escaped my memory. Like,
if I hadn't watched this right before we started recording, I would have forgotten so much of this. Like, even as I'm watching it, I'm like, okay, why are they doing this bit now? Why, like it's just. And usually there was a couple of times where I actually went back because I thought, because I'll be honest, it's hard to pay attention to a movie this boring. And there's a couple of times where I caught myself looking away or whatever, and I'm like, oh shit, I missed whatever that was, and it felt like something important just happened. So I'd go back, 20, 30 seconds and see what it was. And almost every time I did that, nothing important happened. Nothing that I would have to know to bring up later or talk about in the review or understand the rest of the movie happened.
Yeah. I mean, it really feels like you could probably almost get rid of like most of these characters and have very little of the movie affected by it.
Oh yeah, like let's say you take away Mara, the detective, right? would anything that the other characters do in this movie change? Other than talking to him, other than stopping to talk to him before they go and do the thing they were going to do anyway, would anything of value like change?
Yeah, I think so.
No. If you took out CIA Bob, yeah, it wouldn't be as funny when they get into the castle, but you could just have Mel go into the castle on his own and get captured anyway. It'd be one less death, I suppose, but I mean, let's face it, at this point, we're not coming to these movies for a kill count, because none of them have had a good kill count.
No.
Not really. So, I don't know. There's very little of value, honestly. I mean, it's still an easy enough watch, and there's a few funny moments, but I mean, by and large, it's just kind of treading water and stalling till it does whatever it's going to do at the end. And it's not like you feel like, oh, it's the end of the trilogy and they finally killed Radu. It's a big moment where he's jumped for that bloodstone that he's been so obsessed with. It doesn't feel like a big deal. It's just kind of like, okay, well, that's that, and then, you know, we'll move on. There'll probably be a fourth one, which there was, although it was a good 4 years later. So we'll see how that shapes up, I suppose. But I'm not particularly excited by the prospect.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna watch it. So
oh, I know, yes.
But I mean, I don't know if I'd say I'm excited, but I'm at least intrigued to see. At least with the next one being, like, you know, a couple of years down the line and whatever. Like, I'm curious if it's hopefully gonna at least try to mix it up more, and just not, you know, gonna do another kind of retread of these last couple movies. That's all I really want. Like, at this point, try to come up with some more interesting, funnier characters and maybe a few more cool special effects shots, and I'll be a happy boy. That's all I want.
Yeah. Or more boobs would be fine too. Like, we could enjoy that.
The true subspecies.
We're not Mel. We could have the blood flowing.
Yeah.
That'd be an interesting superpower. His blood doesn't flow at all, so he's like, vampires just ignore him. There's no need to bite him.
It's not a bad idea.
His blood is useless. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Oh dear. Okay. I mean, this is like one of the shortest reviews we've done in a while, but I feel like we're done. I don't think there's anything else to talk about.
Yeah. I can't even. I don't even have the passion to come up with one of my, you know, infamous rants to extend the show by another 15 minutes.
No, it's fine. This is. I mean, I'm impressed we got over 40, which it's probably going to be about hitting 50 by the time the outro's done. So, Tim, why don't you
talk about how our October's been going?
Well, nah, it's fine. It's fine. Okay. Just rate the movie, Tim. Let's get it over with. Subspecies 3. What do you give it?
So I feel like I gave the first and second movie like pretty generous scores. Like, again, you know, they're never gonna go super high. But I thought it was pretty good, fair with the last two. And I would stand by the first two being, you know, somewhat enjoyable for what they are, and I'm glad that I checked them out. This one to me was just such a dud though, and the first two did definitely had their moments of boredom and dullness, but I don't know, maybe the other part stood out enough that it didn't bother me as much, but it really stuck out in this movie. And then it just didn't have as much of the cool stuff that I was looking for. That being said, here and there was a few fun things, with Radu and stuff as always. Not as much as the last two though, but yeah, I was pretty disappointed in this one. I think I'm gonna go 3.5, which might even be a little generous. I don't know. I still have love for the character of Radu and stuff, so I can never go too low with a movie that he's in. But yeah, I think that's where we're gonna have to be at this point.
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking about the same, really. 3.5, because you were a little more generous than I was with the last two.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say. But yeah.
Which at the end of the year, Santa Claus will take that into account.
Yeah, you give the last one a 5.5, you madman. I think I'll agree with the 3.5 in this case. I don't think it's like a huge step down from like the first one, but it's a bit worse.
Yeah.
So 3.5 all round then for Subspecies 3. So that'll
What happened to my beloved franchise?
Oh yeah, it went down from 4s and 5s to a 3. Oh my god, what a massive drop in quality it's had. Yeah, I mean, look, Tim got us in this mess. We're going to see it through and finish off the franchise. I had like a more interesting trilogy that I was going to suggest for this October, but then Tim swooped in with Subspecies, so we did Subspecies. So I'll just have to save my idea for next year.
Okay.
And we'll see what it is then. Anywho, what do I say now? Oh yeah, patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. You can support all the content and get bonus episodes. The bonus episode has returned for October. In fact, we're doing 2 for October. And then next month, we'll be back to 1 a month. And that'll continue going forward. And even more streams will be back soon as well. Not this month, possibly November. Although, I was actually thinking making that December that comes back for a couple of reasons, which I'll talk to Tim about off air, because that's an off the air discussion. So, but that'll be back shortly. That'll be back soon. So don't worry about that. But yeah, so you get 2 bonus episodes and Patreon for a month of October, then 1 a month starting in November. So that's back. Happy, excitement, all that good stuff. So look forward to that. As far as anything else goes, though, obviously you get early access to stuff and all that good fun goodness. There's bonuses for the other shows that we do in Mail Fuzz Movies, such as the sci-fi podcast, the Atomic Cinema Experiment, or the other movie podcast, the Collector's Cut, that I do with David. You can check out all those, and of course just generally help the content and keep it all coming, and hopefully you're enjoying Octoberthon enough that you love us more than ever in the spooky season.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't really been around for a while, although we record enough stuff that people get at least a few things, but I feel like we're really going above and beyond this October, for it's not the most shows we've done. Like, we've done shows in the past where we've had stuff like almost every day, but I feel like for the amount of time and stuff that we've had available, we're actually giving people quite a bit of content.
We're doing well this October. We're already, I think, more episodes than we were last October, so I think we're doing very, very well. And that, to be fair, that 1 year, which I think was 2019, where there was literally a Screams episode of some kind every day in October, that was too much, and we will never do that again. Lessons have been learned. Especially since Tim didn't have any kids when we did that, so I mean, it's off the table anyway. Yeah. But even I don't want to do that again. But we're doing a healthy amount of content for October, so thank you very much. And don't feel bad if you can't be on Patreon. Totally get it. Hit the like button. Do all the other things you can do for free to help the show. All those things do help because more people will find it. But that is us. So thank you very much for joining us. We will see you in probably a few more days for another Screams After Midnight this October. And I can say that confidently because I know what episode's going last. I don't know what the order the rest of them are, but I know which one's going on out on Halloween itself, so I know when it's over. So thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next time. Keep watching scary movies. Happy October.